Okay, we will call to order the regular meeting of the Batavia City Council for Monday, July 6, 2020. I would all please ask that you rise for an invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, as we once again gather as a community and as a city council to act on the items of business before us, we are ever so thankful that the coronavirus issue, while it has struck our community, has done much less damage than in many of our neighboring communities. And we just thank everyone in the community for their cooperation and their spirit of understanding as we've gone upon a very, very difficult moment in American history, and one that I'm sure people will be writing about 100 years from now. We just ask that those who have been impacted by the virus, that they are returning to good health. And we just ask for continued research so that we can find medical science can find a cure for it, and we can move forward without this before us once again. We ask tonight for a special blessing to be showered upon all those from our community who are serving so ably on foreign soil in defense of the liberties of the United States of America, and we just ask that a special blessing be showered upon them and all men and women of our country, wherever they may be in service, that they may be honored and protected so that they will return to our country very safely. Tonight we ask for direction and vision and understanding as the City Council acts on the items of business before us, knowing in the hearts and minds of each member of the council that they are here to do what in their thoughts are the very best interests of the community of Batavia. Finally, we just ask for a special blessing to be showered upon our community and the world around us, and that we may find inner strength and understanding in one another, respect for our fellow man, appreciation for all persons of whatever race, religion, color, creed, national origin they may have, and that we step forward and unite ourselves in the further progress of all good things that make our country the great place it is to live and proudly call our home. We ask for all these blessings. Amen. Alderman Knopp, would you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, before we go any further with the roll call, what I guess I would ask, I've had to participate in a number of meetings over the last 6-8 weeks, in which obviously masks are an essential, and we're all wearing one tonight. I would ask if you are going to speak in the mic or at the meeting, that you lower the mask down below your mouth so that people can understand you. One of the things we have heard in thoughts throughout the region in different meetings, if people try to speak with the mask on, it becomes very, very difficult, specifically if somebody is watching it on tape or at home trying to understand what somebody is saying. So if you don't want to do it, I guess I can understand, but I would ask for the understanding of the community that this is what we're going to try to do. So that's the reason while I'm talking, I've got it down here at my lip so that people can hear what I have to say. I'll pull it back up as soon as I get through talking, but I would ask that you consider, if you're going to say something, just pull it down for a couple seconds, make your little comments, and then pull it back up. Okay, let's move to item number 3, which is roll call, and I'd ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Miller,
Here.
Rosato,
Here.
Beck,
Here.
Knopp,
Here.
Chansett,
Here.
Wolf,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
O'Brien,
Here.
Callahan, Meitzler,
Here.
Malay,
Here.
Ewer,
Here.
Cerrone,
Here.
McFadden.
Here.
So do we have, did I count that right? Do we have 9 present and 4 on, or 3 on? 4 on microphone, or tuning in that way. So we obviously have the necessary quorum to conduct business. I would remind everyone, if you're going to speak tonight, to please speak into the microphone. And again, it would be helpful if you could just lower your mask for just some seconds you're speaking so that it can be clearly heard by those in the TV audience specifically, because I think that'll be the angst that we will hear about how difficult it was to hear people speaking while they're on TV with the mask on. Okay, moving then to item number 5, which are items to be removed, added, or changed on tonight's agenda. Alderman Chanzit, Government Services Chairman, do you have anything?
Your Honor, I'm aware of none.
Okay, moving then to item number 6, is the consent agenda. Alderman Chanzit.
Your Honor, the consent agenda reads as follows. To accept and place on file the Committee of the Whole minutes for May 26th, June 2nd, June 9th, June 15th, and June 23rd, 2020. The Plan Commission minutes for June 3rd, 2020. Historic Preservation Commission minutes for April 13th, 2020. And for approvals, the June 26th payroll in the amount of $936,376.96. The accounts payable check register in the amount of $5,367,041.84. City Council minutes for June 15th, 2020. May 2020 City Council financial report. The Committee of the Whole executive session minutes for July 30th, July 30th, 2019, September 10th, October 22nd, October 29th, December 3rd, December 10th, 2019, January 28th, February 11th, February 25th, April 14th, 2020. Ordinance 20-40, rescinding Ordinance 19-6 to authorize execution of an annexation agreement for the annexation and development of the Winding Creek subdivision property at 2537 West, 330 McKee Street, MI Homes of Chicago LLC applicant. Ordinance 20-39, amendment to the official zoning map of the General Industrial District, 1501 North Kirk Road, City of Batavia applicant. Ordinance 20-36, surplus property, police vehicles. Ordinance 20-42, declaring surplus properties. Resolution 20-86-R, authorizing representative to sign state revolving loan fund documents. Resolution 20-83-R, approval for exception to the city employee handbook policy regarding maximum carryover hours. Your Honor, I would move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Chanzit, second by Alderman Knopp for the approval of the consent agenda as presented. Any comments, motions from the council? I would just like to make a comment on item L, or item I guess it is. Ordinance 20-40, the ordinance rescinding Ordinance 19-06 to authorize the execution of an annexation agreement for annexation and development of the Winding Creek subdivision property at 2537 W330 McKee Street by MI Homes of Chicago. I just want it certainly clearly understood that this was not an issue with the city. This one ended up being at the last minute, a disagreement between the owners of the property and the proposed developer. And this was apparently they could not agree to some resolution to it, and so we just ran out of time with it, and so we have to pull this off, because if it's not going to go forward, we can't have a bunch of things, people anticipating something to go happen, and then it's not going to happen. I personally was very excited and enthused by this development. It had some housing styles that I hear a lot of people in Batavia saying they want. It connected some things to probably take some further pressure off of the intersection down at Fabian and Randall, and it really put a little bridge across McKee Street and connected the rest of the far northwest side of Batavia with the rest of the community through this kind of secondary street. There was a lot of very positive things, and I would suggest to whomever comes forward in the future, it's probably going to have to do everything we worked on in this one to get this thing done again, because I think we figured out how to do it and do it right, but unfortunately, some disagreements on the buyer and seller's sides here just led this thing to come to an end. So just wanted to make that statement. Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and second then for the approval of the consent agenda as presented. Clerk, call the roll.
Chanzit,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Barron,
Aye.
O'Brien,
Aye.
Meitzler,
Aye.
Malay,
Aye.
Ewer,
Aye.
Saron,
Aye.
McFadden,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Rosato,
Aye.
Beck,
Aye.
Knopp.
Aye.
So was that 13 voting on, okay, so if that vote was 13 yes, no no's, none absent. All right, going to item number 7, matters from the public for items not on the agenda. Do we have any, I don't see anybody in the audience tonight, other than the chamber. And they're gonna speak in a minute. There's nobody, I guess, on phone that I'm being told, so. All right, then, we'll move to item number 8, which is the Batavia Chamber of Commerce report, and we're very honored to have the President and Executive Director, Margaret Burrow, here. And Margaret, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So great to see you all in person. So strange, right? But it's better than doing our Hollywood video-style Zooms. This is a good thing. We're returning to normal. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. As the COVID-19 virus continues to impact our business community, the Batavia Chamber is working hard to support our chamber members and our town. Over the last several months, the Chamber has been helping businesses with the PPP program and the Federal CARES Act, business interruption grants, the Federal Reserve's Main Street Lending Program, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, managing a remote workforce, in addition to OSHA regulations, and others. We have hosted a conversation with State Senator Don DeWitt. We have offered Managing Your Business by the Numbers by Harriet Parker, the manager of the Illinois SBDC. We hosted a virtual town hall meeting with Laura Newman, the city administrator. We host a regular meeting on collaborative counseling efforts for Batavia and the Chamber's not-for-profit forum. I'm in close contact with our neighboring chambers and regional chamber execs, and we are sharing resources and ideas to help us hold our communities together. I have worked with our legislative reps at the state and federal level, the Department of Economic Opportunity, and the Small Business Development Center to make sure our businesses get the resources that they need. Over the past month, the Batavia Chamber combined forces with the City of Batavia and Batavia Main Street to create the initiative Batavia Reconnected. With City Council's approval, the Reconnected COVID Response Fund with small business grants was devised and awarded $1,500 grants to be used for businesses to help cover expenses incurred to operate following safety guidelines mandated during the COVID-19 pandemic. The grant was created to keep residents informed and increase public confidence that Batavia businesses are taking measures to keep their facilities safe. The grant was a great success, providing funds to over 25 businesses. We are thrilled to support our local community in this way. Thank you for your partnership on that. On June 26th, we entered into Phase 4 of Restore Illinois, the revitalization phase. Mayor Schilke came to the Chamber to help us celebrate business reopening with a ribbon-cutting reopening video featuring more than 20 of our member businesses. Go ahead and go to Facebook to see this great video, and of course, please support our local businesses. Ribbon cutting events are permitted in Phase 4, and we are starting to schedule many of these feel-good events. An exciting one is happening next week on Wednesday, July 15th at 4 p.m. We're hosting a ribbon cutting at the Batavia Boardwalk Shops. And then we'll have our open networking immediately following at the Wilson Street Tavern, Bocaditos, and Oak and Swine Beer Garden. We would love for all of you to come join us. In the upcoming month, the Chamber will continue to offer networking opportunities, along with webinars for our members, so they are educated on what resources are available to them. Some events will remain virtual, but we are excited to move some of our events to in-person. Our upcoming events are Wednesday, July 8th at 8 a.m., a Zoom virtual networking, BC Squared. On Thursday, July 9th at 9 a.m., we're having a 30-minute webinar on CDC, OSHA, contract tracing, and PPE use. Friday, July 10th at 9 a.m., we'll host our collaborative counseling effort for Batavia. Wednesday, July 15th at 9 a.m., in partnership with Valley Industrial Association, we will have our HR webinar called Re-Engagement of Your Workforce. Wednesday, July 15th, as I mentioned, the ribbon cutting for the Boardwalk Shops at 4 o'clock. And then at 4:30 across the street, we'll have our networking event. That night, we will feature the charity Fox Valley Habitat for Humanity. We will spotlight them, so we will have the executive director there. They are the charity that are building those houses on Spuler, so it's a good opportunity for us to highlight what they're up to. And then, of course, on Friday, August 28th, is the Chamber's golf outing. It'll be a great scramble at Orchard Valley Golf Course. If you want to receive terrific marketing, whole sponsorships are still available. Sign up to golf and register for any of our events on our website, BATVIAchamber.org. The Chamber is excited about kicking off Chamber Bucks, a citywide gift certificate program to help our local businesses. These are gift certificates in $10 denominations that can be used at any participating business in Batavia. They can be purchased over the phone or in person from the Chamber and can be used like cash at our local businesses. So this is a great way to support our town and keep our money local. I request that you follow the Chamber on Facebook to find out other pertinent information. And I want to thank you again for having me speak tonight. If anybody has any comments or questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any comments or questions for Margaret?
All right.
Keep up the great job.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, moving then to item number 9 on the agenda, which is Resolution 20-056-R, approving service agreement with Coloni Incorporated for bike sharing program. Who's got this one? Alderman Wolf.
Your Honor. Thank you. This is the bike share program that we've talked about for about the last year, and finally are at the point where we discussed this during one of the previous COW meetings again. This is one of the things that we held off of when we first started to deal with the COVID-19. And now we've decided that we need to move forward with this. I think it's something, at least in my mind, that's very important to have another way to connect with public transportation up in Geneva, with the train station, with other cities, and to be able to have a bike share program that we can hopefully expand in the future to be able to provide that continuity or that connectivity to at least to the train station. In my mind, that's a very important thing to be able to do, especially from downtown. So that's kind of my spiel on it. I don't know what you want to put forth on this, Laura. I think it's something we've talked about quite a bit.
We have. The only thing that I wanted to add, and maybe it bears a reminder, that in our previous discussions, we talked about what kind of bikes that we were going to purchase, that we wanted to contract for electric bikes. And with the budget that we have of $13,000, we're able to obtain 7 of those. They're at a rate of $1,800 per year. The $1,800 not only goes to provide the bike, but the constant care and maintenance as well, because the program goes throughout the system, Colony will, to rebalance the number of bikes that are in each rack to make sure that, since we've paid for 7 electric bikes, that on a 24 to 48 hour period, we will always have the 7 bikes that should be located there. They also take care of all of the maintenance of those bikes should anything malfunction, and they also store over the winter those bikes on our behalf. What is not part of this agreement is a rack to put the bikes in. And so one of the things we'll be doing is look for a local place where we can purchase the bike rack from, like Barco Products. And I'd like to give a shout out to Barco Products. I know it's kind of not part of this, but Barco Products is the one who donated all of the tables that are on South Water Street. And we met with them last week and their executive vice president, and that's $10,000 worth of tables that Barco Products donated to the city of Batavia. So we're really proud of our partnership with them, and we hope we can work with them on providing the bike rack as well.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Joe.
Bikes are hard to come by right now.
Yes.
Any shop or anything you go to, nobody's got them. You go to the manufacturer's websites, everybody's on back order. Are these bikes available?
They
Are they ready to
So
come in?
earlier this year, Colony was asking that municipalities identify the number of bikes that they think that they would like to have in a program. And early on, before COVID hit, we let them know what our budget was for these. And so what they did was, a little bit of confidence, they went ahead and bought all the bikes because they wanted to make sure that they realized that, the situation with people's finances was, and they wanted to make sure at what point a community can say yes to this program, they have the bikes available to immediately implement that.
Good deal. Thank you.
Great question.
Anybody else?
Laura?
Yes.
Could
This
you
is-
let everybody know, like, which communities have agreed to this program and where, they might be able to also get it or drop it off at?
Sure. So I'm going to try to remember off the top of my head, but I believe that it is Elgin and South Elgin. Shodine has agreed to put these bicycles into 3 of their different communities. Mill Creek, the new subdivision in St. Charles, as well as their new subdivision in Elburn. And then also to the south of us, I believe that it is Aurora and Montgomery who have also signed on to this agreement. So it's a nice network, and I think that it's just the start of it. We know that there are probably a number of communities because of COVID-19 who have decided to put participation in this on hold, and that we hope that after this initial launch this year, that it'll be a more robust program next year. Oh, and I also didn't mention that Kane County, I believe, has a rack of bikes at the Kane County Government Center in Geneva, and then possibly also at the Metro Station.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Thought I heard somebody
This
else.
is Nick. I have a question.
Go ahead, Nick.
Just wondering, have we finalized where the racks are going to be at all?
At this point, since we just have the 7 and we anticipate that it would just be 1 rack, we were going to locate that on the South Plaza of City Hall. 1 central location. But as we
Okay.
add more racks in the future, we hope that we can deploy those in a number of different areas.
And what's the cost of adding a rack?
So a rack, we buy ourselves. Each individual bike is $1,800 of the type that we have determined to go with,
Right.
which is the electric assist bike. Just a pedal bike annually is $1,500. So the added feature of having the electric assist seemed to be worth the $300 per bike.
Sure. But
Alderman
it's
Beck?
just, so we don't really have a cost associated with the racks, it's just a matter of designating a location?
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Alderman Beck?
And they also had the option for the geofencing of
Yes.
a rack, so there, we could have temporary or permanent spots that people could deliver bikes that isn't necessarily a rack or a permanent city designated rack, but it's a geofence, so it's just a location that they know once the bike is in this position that it's home, and that could be a temporary thing that we set up for just events, or if we were going to try out a new spot to hold bikes, I think that's an option too.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, I will make the motion that we approve Resolution 20-56-R, approving a service agreement with Kalani Incorporated for the bike share program.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Wolf, second by Alderman Beck for the approval of the Resolution 20-056-R, approving the agreement with Comai for the bike sharing program for Batavia. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Wolf.
Aye.
Barron.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Rosado.
Aye.
Beck.
Aye.
Knopp.
Aye.
Chanzit.
Aye.
Motion is approved by a vote of 13 yes, no no's, 1 absent. All right, moving to item number 10, which is ordinance 20-41, an ordinance authorizing the city of Batavia, Kane, and DuPage Counties, Illinois, to issue waterworks revenue bonds in an aggregate principal and amount not to exceed $3,900,000 as evidence of loans issued pursuant to the Public Water Supply Loan Program. Who's got this, Alderman?
I have it.
Chance?
Yes, so, this is related to, excuse me, to item M, which is in tonight's consent agenda. While we haven't received the $3.9 million loan. Peggy did confirm that we are on the list of eligible projects, so this ordinance 20-41 is the authorization for issuing of the bonds. It was drafted by our bond counsel, Chapman and Cutler. And if there are no questions, I would move that we approve ordinance 20-41, authorizing the city to issue waterworks revenue bonds.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Chanzat, second by Alderman Knapp for the approval of ordinance 20-41 for the water revenue bond, waterworks revenue bonds. Any further discussion?
Your Honor?
Alderman O'Brien.
Well, I'm obviously going to support this. I mean, we need to maintain our utilities, and this is, both of these treatment centers have been reaching their end of life, and so it's just remedial work. It's expensive, but it's something we have to do to maintain our utility.
Any other comments? I would just offer that if you just ride around town today and look at all the road work and all the subgrade work that's going on both the east and west sides of town, we are spending a lot of time and effort to enhance and improve a variety of utilities, including the water system in Batavia. And I think these are going to be improvements that 50 or 100 years from now, people are going to say that was a smart move. They did that when they did. I would jokingly note that when, specifically over on the southwest side, when the city put the original water system in and then they put in the sewer system, over there they combined the sewer into the storm water and the wastewater into the same pipe. And I think in about 1913, when they did this, they thought they were being financially conservative and obedient and not cause the ratepayers much money by doing it this way. Well, as we found out, as Batavia continued to grow and more people were hooking onto that lines, suddenly, on times of heavy storms, we had a lot of houses down there on the southwest side of town, which hopefully are all going away now after we've spent a lot of money down there. But we've got that area, that cleaned up 100 years later, a little bit more than 100 years later. And that was a very wise move on the part of the council. I think that we're very smart in doing that. We've got some other areas in town that I know we are on top of and we're doing some planning for, so that we're going to get this utility system up to about as good a grade as it can be, and it should serve this community well into, many decades into the future. So I'm appreciative of the council's support in this. Any other comments? Clerk, call the roll then on the ordinance 20-41.
Chanzat.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Barron.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer. Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Rosado.
Aye.
Beck.
Aye.
Knopp.
Aye.
Ordinance 20-41 is approved by a vote of 13 yes, no noes, 1 absent. Okay, moving to item number 11, the administrator's report. Laura?
Thank you. I'd like to mention that the community survey has been out since May to 3,000 homes, which were randomly selected so that we would have a scientific sampling of our community and various areas in our community to respond to the community survey. As of July 1st, we've also opened up the community survey to anyone who would like to answer the survey. So all you need to do is go to the city's homepage, and there's a news story on the homepage which provides a link so that you can answer an online survey, and we ask that you please do that on or before July 15th. Our next brush pickup in the city is not going to be until August. We tried to rearrange the schedule a little bit this year to pick up a little earlier and also be able to pick up a little later. And so July is kind of the month that we skip in the middle there. So our next brush pickup on the east side will be August 3rd, and on the west side will be August 10th. Last Tuesday, a number of staff were on a conference call with IDNR. We're continuing our conversation to make sure that the city of Batavia stays in line potentially to receive grant funding for the removal of the Batavia Dam. And one of the things that the individuals that we spoke with at IDNR said could assist us in staying in the queue for potential grant dollars to assist us with that is for the elected officials to demonstrate a willingness for their dam to be removed. So I will be putting an item on a upcoming future agenda so that we can have that discussion. And the other part that they said was that it would be beneficial to have a memorandum of understanding or an intergovernmental agreement with the Park District, since the aspect of what will happen to the depot pond is also a very important part of that project. And so probably from that meeting, if the city council were to unanimously direct staff to work with the Park District in order to see that memorandum of understanding or intergovernmental agreement come to fruition, that would be the indicator that IDNR would like to see at this point to move the project along. So we seem to be right in there with what we need to be doing. Also want to give you an update on 1 Washington Place. Both the Historic Preservation Commission, they gave the unanimous approval for the certificate of appropriateness for the project. And also the Plan Commission, on their meeting on July 1st, gave approval for the design review and the PUD. And so that will next be coming back to you for review. And the PUD and the design review, we plan to also have the new redevelopment agreement for you to consider that same night, because we think those two things really go hand in hand, that we really shouldn't be doing one without having the other. So we'll put that on a meeting later in July or early in August timeframe. Couple of other important upcoming meetings. There will be a public outreach presentation for the Mahoney Creek. That's been scheduled for 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 14th. During the presentation, the city's engineering consultant will review existing conditions within the entire Mahoney Creek watershed, and they'll present possible improvement measures that could be implemented, and members of the public will be asked to provide feedback and comments. These comments will be incorporated into the final watershed report that is expected to be completed by late summer. On July 14th, at the Committee of the Whole meeting at 7 o'clock, there will be a presentation of the preliminary engineering study for the Carriage Crest area. And the study results and recommendations for next steps will be presented at that meeting. I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions for me.
I have one, Laura.
Yes.
The county, I don't know where this is at, but the county had received funds, I think, through the federal government
CARES
to
Act.
the CARES Act to disperse that out. Do we know, or are you our representative in going towards that, or is the mayor, or where are we at? I know I read an article, been off for a while, and read an article about the Geneva mayor had made comments the last time they had discussed this publicly at the Kane County Board meeting, and I think they were dispersing their committee or whatever they're doing right now. Do we know when the next meetings are going to be for that, and should we start to try to contact people within the county board to try to make sure that we retain what we should be getting from them as they disperse these funds?
So, couple of things on that. The Chairman Lausen put together a task force to come up with the plan for how that money would be dispersed. Our Council on Government, Metro West, submitted a letter to all of the members of the Kane County Board, as well as the chairman, requesting that the money be dispersed in a pro rata fashion. Per capita fashion.
Okay.
At the meeting of the task force, which occurred last Wednesday at 9 a.m., the task force's recommendation was to distribute that money per capita, that they were going to be making that recommendation to the Kane County Board through, first it would go to the executive committee, and that having made a recommendation as to how the funds would be dispersed, that task force would now be disbanded. there was an emergency meeting which was called at the request of some of the Kane County board members that happened the very next morning. The request was made at that meeting that a different task force be formed and that the Chairman Lausen's task force be disbanded and that this new task force should determine how the money should get appropriated among the different municipalities. So it seems like there are actions working on two tracks within the board itself.
Okay, I guess the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I want to know is, do we as a council need to put some heat on the county board to try to get them to just do this the way I think it should be done, the way Metro West proposed, and the way I think some of the board members wanted to do this? I mean, I guess that's what I'm asking this for tonight here in a public forum, so that we can talk about this, because I think this is something that's important for the entire
Absolutely.
county, not just us.
Right.
I've been at most of these meetings that she's just attended. Mayor Burns in Geneva is the current president of Metro West, so he got the
Okay.
spotlight of the thing, which is fine. I will tell you that I think everybody's heart is in the right place here. There's just a lot of money on the table. It's $92,900,170.30, I think is what it is. And so what is happening is that the county board now, I guess, has decided that they're going to oversee this. And, you know, if you take the populations of each one of the towns and divide it in a kind of a per capita number, and then you come up with, what's that number? And then there's arguments about, well, there should be some money taken out for all the work that the Kane County Health Department has done, and, because they've been basically most of the city's spokesman through most of this conversation. So that argument is there. Then there was a presentation at one meeting where all the other county people came in, including the state's attorney, the Kane County Sheriff, the auditor, the county clerk, everybody had their own say about what they needed money for, and that didn't seem to go over very well. So the last conversation that I was part of is that we'd gotten this thing down to, and correct me if my number's wrong, the per capita number for Kane County cities, where this is going to be distributed, was $78.52 per person.
Correct.
Which in the case of Batavia, given our census population, the updated one was going to be about $2,045,000 is about what we would be getting out of this, which in the scheme of things, in my opinion, is not that far off of, our rightful share. You have to appreciate that there's some dynamics in Kane County where the city of Elgin has 25% of its city in Cook County. So when you add the Elgin number up, you got to subtract 25% of the population off of that because they're not coming out of this pot. Our friends to the south in the city of Aurora are more complicated because Aurora is the only city in the state of Illinois that finds itself incorporated in 4 counties. It's in Kane, DuPage, Will, and Kendall. Now, 3 of those counties, Kane, DuPage, and Will, are all part of this distribution of this larger pot. Kendall County is not. They're with the rest of the state, other counties in the state that are going to get a state partial subsidy, and nobody seems to know anything about that as far as we're aware of how that's going to be broke up. So right now, I'm sitting here, hopefully, got my fingers crossed that as this thing plays itself out, and I have not heard it going in any different direction in the last couple of days, that Batavia's share of this, which we can easily, I think, come up with the accountability that we've spent probably over $2 million on corona issues and masks and fire and police and paramedics and education and everything else. I think we probably are not going to be totally made whole, but it'll be a nice shot in the arm to put back into our budget. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of where this sits. The final political movement on this thing has yet to occur. I don't know if all of us calling up our 2 county board members who sit there right now, I don't hear from either one of them that they're opposing anything here. I think a lot of people want to make sure they get their fair share, but every time you go to a meeting, there's some new group sitting there that
Mm-hmm.
says, well, we think we ought to get something out of this deal. And I think the county board is heading toward the idea that, you know, if Batavia gets $2 million and there's somebody in Batavia that thinks that they should get some money, and they come and talk to you guys, and you make a decision whether they get any of this money, then, you know, the county sit here and decide. There was a big movement last week by the fire, some of the fire protection districts in this county wanted to be included in the distribution, and so I think the county's position was, well, you go to the city that you're in and see how much of their money you're gonna get. Because you got some cities like Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles, Elgin, and Aurora, the fire department is part of the city budget. So not everybody's playing off the same deck of cards here.
Okay, I just wanted to get it
No,
out there, and
appreciate
so that
you
way we can
bringing it up.
talk about that, because I think it's something that, you know, if we do as council members need to contact county board members, it wouldn't be just the two that are ours, but other people that we know that are on there. I think it's a good idea, you know, that we keep this at the forefront here and we talk about it, because I think if we don't, they could end up making what I'll say is almost downstate type moves with it and really muck it up.
I've been sitting at most of the meetings, so
Okay.
they know Batavia exists.
So Laura?
Yes,
So regarding that, you know, I think without spending the money the resources before we receive them, we should, I would ask the council to keep in mind, that we want to try to make the city whole,
yes.
but I think we should try to maybe assign some of those funds to local businesses that have been struggling through this coronavirus, this COVID-19.
Right,
And so I think we might want to look into some of that.
will do.
But yet, the smaller counties, they're getting the
We
money.
got somebody else having a meeting with us.
Yeah, apparently.
All right, any other questions on that? I guess you're done, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, going to committee reports, government services, Alderman Chanzit.
Nothing to report, but we do have, tomorrow night, we're reviewing video gambling.
Okay, city services, Alderman Wolf.
Nothing to report tonight.
Okay, community development's not here, Alderman Chanzit.
Alderman
McFadden, or-
McFadden's on, he's the vice chair, I
Do
believe.
you have anything, Alderman McFadden, on community development?
That would be Cerrone or Callahan.
Isn't it?
Oh,
Oh, I know
No,
Callahan's
is that-
not here, so,
that's-
Room.
all right. I guess, okay,
Yeah, I'll take.
all right. Public utilities, Alderman O'Brien?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we have other business?
Your Honor, I do. As I drive through town sometimes, I'm looking at River Street over the weekend, the holiday weekend, and it seemed like there was absolutely little activity on River Street. And, they have Bogaditos, and they have the Wilson Street Tap, and the Oak and Swine. They seem to kind of partner together, and they have their little area there in the very expensive alley. But I think we might want to look to do something with River Street to kind of open it up a little bit. I know we just closed it, but I don't know what we can do. But it just seems that on Wilson Street, it just seems closed completely. The sign says River Street's closed, and it doesn't look like people could even, traverse through there, through the barricades. So I don't know, maybe we can paint those concrete barricades, paint them orange and take down all the type 3 barricades there, or do something, but try to make it at least pedestrian accessible and change the verbiage to something else other than River Street closed. I just have concerns that people are thinking it's closed and they're not going to the businesses on River Street. I've talked to some people regarding that, some of the businesses, and they just seem concerned. So I just think we should look into maybe having Main Street come by and tell us what the concerns are of the businesses there, and we can, alter our plans. I mean, it's like Nick had said, we're kind of fluid,
experiment.
and so
Exactly.
I just want to keep that fluidity and do what we can to help these people.
You bet. And then also the city and Main Street are working on some more attractive signage to put there to say this is a public dining area and these are the hours and please, to try to make it look more inviting. So point well taken.
And we might, again, that tent is very inviting that they have for Wilson Street Tap, that we might look to maybe try to get something up on River Street also that brings people, I mean, you put lights in it and it just appears to bring, like moths to the flame. It just brings people to that tent area and, hey, what's going on?
The
And
thing
if that
about,
can help our businesses, I think we should do that.
yes, we just have to do it in a way where maybe we could have it on the south end of the street because we still have to get the emergency vehicles and whatnot down there.
Right.
I guess one observation I would make, I thank you for bringing it up, I'm totally in agreement with you. The big issue I think we got over there is that probably two of the bigger restaurants are not there anymore, specifically Pal Joey's and Gaetano. And they're the ones that I think previously were generating a lot of traffic in there. And were both of them still there today, I think the look over there would be much different than what it is at the moment. Needless to say, we continue to have conversations with different people who straddle in and straddle out, looking at several different locations in Batavia for restaurants. I think right now there's a kind of a noose around restaurant expansions right now because everybody's a little bit shaken by what the Corona thing did to it and slowed down the business. And so it's kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time here. But I think that will go away with the passage of time. And we got a good thing going over there. It's just that we need to, I think we have to wait this out a little bit, and hopefully we'll get, both of those places will get reoccupied by other restaurants, and we'll get something going. Anybody else?
Yeah, just to add on to that, I know that on water, we added all those lights over the tables. It looks great, and it's attractive and everything. I think we've talked about putting lights over River Street. I think that would help, and I just wonder if we've explored that anymore and what kind of costs we'd be looking at to do that. Not that.
Yeah, there would be a cost to that.
Well, obviously there's a cost to it. I know it's not free. I'm just saying, is it something that we want to pursue? Again, if we're talking about that being closed down into November and trying to attract more traffic there, if you made it look attractive, not just signage outside of it, but again, some lights over the street or something to draw people there more.
Yeah, I know the staff, certainly at my behest, has been trying to work on kind of re-looking at things over there as far as recreating some traffic flow, at least certain times during the day, at least from State Street going north up to Spring and that area, and allowing people to come down and get nearer to it. So I think we are going to be recommending some stuff, and the staff is continuing to do it, so I appreciate your bringing that up, because those are all the types of ideas that I think we probably are going to be exploring as we go forward with this thing. Along those same lines, I'll just jump into the mayor's thing. I got a couple things I just want to quickly share. On that subject, I just want to share that, we do have a lot of interest there. We have a lot of people come in and ask questions about, is there this store available, or what happened previously, and why isn't something happening here? On the other side, I've been asked by two other cities rather recently if they can bring people over here to look at what we've done over there with the boardwalk shops and with the River Street and the bicycle trail and everything else.
Bring money.
I was kind of chuckling earlier in our discussion about the bicycle contract, because one of the people in the county says to me, well, if you go back in history to the early 1980s, it was one Philip B. Elstrom, and he's the one that started this whole thing. And he was right there in the middle of the street. And so, as they said, it all started in Batavia. So I guess that's our legacy, and I don't think that's anything we should be dismissed or ashamed about. It's something we should have some pride in. But now, because I guess it started here, and we were the ones that politically took it on and took the battle scars and everything that went with it, now people are saying, well, it looks like it's working there. Let's go in and find out more about it. So we're on the right track here. We, like everybody else, you've got some rough moments you gotta go over, and this is one of them. I just wanted to share, if you haven't seen it yet, on the 14th of June, right outside the City Hall here by the Peg Bond Center, we erected a sign for the Flag Day monument that hopefully is gonna be built next year. And it shows the design of the monument and how it's gonna look and whatever. So if you haven't done that, I'd encourage the council and other members of the community to go out and do it. And the other thing I wanted to share is that we've bought fireworks for this year, and obviously yesterday, or when was it, 2 days ago, I guess,
Right.
4th of July, we couldn't fire them because of the corona issues and everything else. So let me just put this out. People think we're storing these fireworks someplace in town. We don't do that. We've got a contract with Melrose over in Melrose Park, and when we want to use some fireworks, we call them, and they bring it over in their truck, they set it up, and they fire it. So there's nobody supporting any fireworks around here. So,
Don't worry about it.
the one idea
But I
that the
think the
fireworks
public probably
committee.
shot off that many this weekend.
Yeah, it probably did. Some people have asked, why are you gonna do anything with all those fireworks? Well, we got a couple of options. Number one, they are still hoping that maybe like a date like the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, they could do a smaller display, not out at the high school, but probably downtown, maybe firing something down around the islands. We would have to, because of fire service regulations and whatever, and the closeness of buildings, we'd have to fire smaller shells. We couldn't put these great big ones that we fire out at Mooseheart in the sky. But we could make some pretty, I think, we've done it a couple times previously on the Millennium Night when 1999 became 2000 at midnight. We had about a couple thousand people down here for that, and we did about a 4 or 5 minute display off Clark Island. We could do something like that, and so we're trying to think that through, but right now, we're still not sure what's going to be the future of these masks, and are we going to have a recurrence of our numbers going up, and is everybody going to say, oh, better stop down? So we're not willing to say right now that we're going to do that, but I will tell you, we've talked to Melrose and said, well, maybe you should think about being ready to come out to Batavia on the Sunday of Labor Day and firing something off for us. It's not for sure, but we are talking about it. What we have, though, is we bought these fireworks, so if we don't fire them this year, we've already got some nice credit for the show next year. So it would be because this was going to be the 70th annual Batavia Fireworks Show, and all the money that's been spent on these is not coming out of the taxpayers. This has all been donated for 70 years, and I'm very proud of that fact that we do that, and it's not something that, we've dumped on the taxpayers. It has all been donated money, and I've already been contacted by a couple people that say, well, when you get something ready, let me know and I'll send you some money. So there are people that are willing to do that. On that same line, another thing that we get community support a big time is the Access Christmas Toy Program. And last week, the first resident showed up in the City Hall here with a brand new baby doll she had just bought at some store, and she wanted to donate it to the Access Toy Fund for this year. So we took it. So I guess I talked to Roy Bailey, and he says, well, make an announcement that we would gladly accept anything now, because it looks like this year, sometimes we've had older toys that they've been able to repair and then give out to people for reuse. He's thinking that with the corona thing and all the concerns about germs and everything, that this year they're going to probably want to restrict everything to just new stuff. And so we've got a real partner in town in the persons of Aldi grocery stores, because they've been very good about letting us they buy big stocks of toys, and then I guess they look at some of them, may take them out of a box and keep some in the boxes, and then they don't. So they call us and say, we've tested these toys, so come and get them. So we've gotten, he told me yesterday, we've gotten 40 boxes full of toys from Aldi's already for this year, and that's thousands of dollars. And I mean, I think that speaks to the kind of community partner we got in Aldi grocery stores. They're very nice people. I'm not saying that because there's a couple people sitting here that are connected, but they are a good person to have in town, or a good company to have in town. The other thing I wanted to say is, there's there's some evidence of some nice donations, and we've already talked about it tonight. One being the tables and the lighting that's over there on Water Street from Wilson South to the alley. And I specifically want to cite Barco Products, which is based up in the old Louise White School on North Washington Avenue. They've made a very nice donation to the community for that, and those are tables that probably can be moved to other spots as other things happen in town. And Batavia Enterprises also has been involved in that and helped pay for some of that stuff. So there are people right now, every day, stepping forward and doing nice donations to do stuff to make this town something that we can all be proud of. So we're alive and well and kicking, and, you know, I think things are getting better. I said on the tape the other day, I'm a happy guy because we've had some nice things happen recently in this town, and I'm still a happy guy because things are going in the right direction, and the right people are gonna have smiles on their faces and are people that, you know, are deservingly so, and people who really care and love and have a whole Batavia in this town in their heart. And, you know, if you ask people, why did you move here? They'll say, well, I like the spirit in this town. I like to feel the community that's here. And I think we're doing a lot these days to emulate that spirit of community that makes Batavia kind of unique. And so I would encourage us all to do whatever we can to continue that spirit going forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
May I just make one point?
Sure.
In what you had said earlier about people coming to our town and looking to, you know, see what we're doing here, and it's a pride thing for all of us. But I think I just wanted to commend you on your willingness to accept these people to come to our town and share ideas. And I think that makes other towns better. It makes Batavia a better community. I mean, Alderman Callahan kind of shared some ideas, and we got the shops. And so and I think as all communities prosper and do well, the whole region does well, and we all have better lives to share and share together. So I just think it's laudable, and thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I would be the first to say that certainly the shops, as you may remember, I had some reservations about that because only the parking issue as it could potentially generate itself out over there. But certainly the council took that. Not only did they vote to do it, but then most of you showed up and helped pour concrete or spread gravel or pound nails or whatever. And that was one of the best spirits of governmental community that I've seen. And so that's one that I think we all should be very proud of, that we've done it. And that one is the one that I've gotten the calls here in the last couple of days. Gee, Mayor, can I come over and look at that? And so, you know, I've got the schedule of when they're open. I said, well, the best time to come is when they're open, and you can see how it's working and what these people are selling and how it's going and the good things that are happening around it. So we've got some real positive synergy happening, and some of the towns that have wanted to come in here are some of them from down south, and some of them have some really serious problems going, financially specifically. And they come in here and just are amazed at what they're seeing here, and the support and the community interaction and the community helping build things. And when I talk about the toy program, and that we don't spend any taxpayer dollars on that either. We don't spend taxpayer dollars on the fireworks. And it all comes from the spirit of Batavia understanding itself and knowing what it wants to do. And so we got a lot to be proud of here. Absolutely. We're bragging too much tonight. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Wolf, second by Alderman O'Brien. Clerk, take a voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.